Hey Giovanna, it's Noni. Today I'm going to read you Jack and the Beanstalk. My grandmother read me this book when I was little, and apparently there was another name for Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't remember it. The Giant? Something, I don't remember. All right, so we're going to read Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack was a lively young boy who lived with his mother in a tiny little cottage in the country. Jack and his mother were very poor. They had straw on the floor and many panes of glass in their windows were broken. The only thing of value that was left was a cow. One day, Jack's mother called him in from the garden where he was chopping logs for their stove. "You will have to take Daisy the cow to market and sell her," she said sadly. As Jack trudged along the long road to the market, he met a strange old man. "Where are you taking that fine milking cow?" asked the man. "To the market, sir," replied Jack, "to sell her." "If you sell her to me," said the man, "I will give you these beans. They are special magic beans. You won't regret it, I promise." When Jack heard the word magic, he became very excited. He quickly swapped the cow for the beans and ran all the way home. Jack rushed to the cottage door. "Mother, mother," he called, "where are you?" "Why are you home so soon?" asked Jack's mother, coming down the stairs. "How much did you get for the cow?" "I got these," said Jack, holding out his hand. "They're magic beans." "What?" shrieked his mother. "You sold our only cow for a handful of beans, you silly boy! Come here." Angrily, she snatched the beans from Jack's hands and flung them out the window and into the garden. Jack was sent to bed with no supper that night. The next morning, Jack's rumbling stomach woke him early. His room was strangely dark, and he got dressed. He glanced out of his window, and what he saw took his breath. Overnight, a beanstalk had sprung up in the garden. Its trunk was almost as thick as Jack's cottage, and its top was so tall that it disappeared into the clouds. Jack yelled with excitement and rushed outside. As he began to climb the beanstalk, his mother stood at the bottom and begged for him to come back down. At last, tried and very hungry, Jack reached the top. He found himself in a strange land full of clouds. He could see something glinting in the distance and began walking towards it. He eventually came to the biggest castle he had ever seen. Maybe he could find some food in there. He crept under the front door and ran straight into an enormous foot. "What was that?" boomed a female voice, and the whole room shook. Jack found himself looking into a huge eye. Suddenly, he was whisked into the air by a giant hand. "What are you?" roared the voice. "I'm Jack," said Jack, "and I'm tired and hungry. Please, can you give me something to eat and a place to rest for a while?" The giant woman was a kind old lady and took pity on the tiny boy. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. "My husband doesn't like little boys and will eat you if he finds you." Then she gave Jack a crumb of warm bread and a thimbleful of hot soup. He was just finished the last drop when the woman said, "Quick, hide in the cupboard. My husband is coming." From inside the dark cupboard, Jack could hear the approaching of thundering footsteps. Then a deep voice followed. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack peeped out through a knothole in the cupboard door and saw a huge giant standing beside the table. "Wife," shouted the giant, "I can smell a boy in this house." "Nonsense, dear," said the giant's wife smoothly. "All you can smell is this lovely dinner I have made for you. Now sit down and eat it." When the giant had gobbled up his dinner and a huge bowl of pudding, he shouted, "Wife, bring me my gold. I wish to count it." Jack saw the giant's wife bring out several enormous stacks of coins. The giant picked up one and tipped out a cascade of gold onto the tabletop. Then Jack watched as the giant counted the coins one by one. The giant began to stack them into piles as he worked. After a while, he started to yawn, and not long after, Jack saw that he had fallen asleep. Soon, he heard very loud snoring. It's time I made my move, Jack said to himself. And quick as a flash, he leaped out of the cupboard, grabbed a stack of gold, slid down the table leg, and ran for the door. But the giant's wife heard him. "Stop! Thief!" she screamed at the top of her voice, which woke her husband. He jumped up in a hurry and ran after Jack, shouting loudly, "Come back!" Jack ran until he came to the top of the beanstalk. Then, with the giant still after him, he scrambled down as fast as he could. "Mother," he called as he got closer to the ground. "Mother, get the axe!" By the time Jack reached the bottom, his mother was there with the axe. She quickly chopped down the beanstalk, and the giant came crashing down with it. He never got up again. Now they had the gold. Jack and his mother were very rich. They wouldn't have to worry about anything ever again, and they lived happily ever after. Wow. Well, Giovanna, we don't really steal from people, okay, my dear? That's not what we do. We work really hard for what we have. But that's Jack and the Beanstalk. All right, honey. I love you.